So glad that you're here. All right, I see some of my people. If you're on LinkedIn with me this morning, just go ahead and say, hey, give me a thumbs up, or just say, what's up? NAKA Fabrics, glad you're here. DK, Pierre Louis, glad that you're here, my friend, on Instagram. So good to see you. All right, my people on YouTube. So glad that you're here. We're getting ready to get started with the show this morning. Oh, yeah. All right, we're getting ready to push and rock and roll this morning. So glad that you're here. Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Monday Mindset Movement. It's me, RK3, the place to be. We're hanging out on this Monday morning, 15 minutes of motivation, inspiration, elevation, designed to get you rocking and rolling and thinking throughout your week. We do this every Monday because we need a lift, and we figure you might need a lift to get yourself pushing throughout this week. So I'm glad that you're here this morning. And AKA Fabrics, DK Pierre Louis, Mark Bradinsky. So glad that you're joining me on LinkedIn. So glad that you're joining me on Instagram. Chip, Deborah, Ben. So glad that you're here this morning. All right, Laura Lee, glad you're here this morning. So glad that you're here. My gosh, we got some stuff to cover this morning. But here's our question. Here's my question. Who are you? Who am I really? Do I know myself? I think, therefore I am. Is that the truth? Is that all of it? Who are you? Who am I? We're going to talk about that this morning. Do me a favor, if you want to know when we're going live, text GO LIVE to 240-557-8679. 240-557-8679. Get the alerts when we go live. You can also join us in the Monday Mindset Movement by going to MondayMindsetMovement.com. All right, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and having a good time this morning. Who are you? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, welcome this morning. So glad that you're here on the Monday Mindset Movement. It's so good to see you this morning. I see you. All right, let's see. YB Youngblood, what's happening, my friend? So glad that you're here. All right. Well, listen, let's jump on in this morning. Who are you? Who are you is our question this morning. Do me a favor, type in the chat. If you know who you are, just type who are you. Let's hear how you identify who you are. What is your identity, right? What is your identity? I'll give you a little bit of who I am, and I'll show it to you, right? If you look on this, this is part of who I am. Let me see if I can hold this up, right? Who I am. I can't, my light is getting this thing messed up. Okay. But it says Jamaica on it. That's a part of who I am. Let me show you a little bit else. All right. This is a part of who I am. Who are you this morning? Who are you? Right? What makes you you? I noticed something the other day. I was in a period where my body was fatigued. And I would wake up in the morning, and one of the first things that I would say to my wife was, I'm so tired. My gosh. And I would be tired, and I would drag, and I would fight to get to a space mentally and emotionally where I could function in the way that I wanted that day. And then I made a discovery. And it might be simple, but And you might already know this, but I found out or I recognized or I remembered that how I spoke, the words that I uttered out of my mouth, my language affected how I operated. And I was reminded of the phrase that says the two most powerful words in the English language are I am. I am. Whatever you place after them shapes your destiny. That's the phrase that I've heard. And I'm going to add something to that, right? The two most powerful words in the English language are I am. Whatever you place after them shapes your destiny and even your attitude. So here's what I recognized. I recognized that what I was doing when I would wake up and say, I'm tired, I was defining my identity first thing in the morning. I was waking up and I was saying out loud who I was and how I was going to show up that day. I'm tired. Thank you. Nice to meet you, tired. Right? I'm tired. So I made a distinction, right? I was operating like my fatigue and I was defining how I would show up. So I made a distinction between identity and feeling. Right? I made a distinction between identity and feeling. And instead of saying I am, I said I feel. Now that might be insignificant to a lot of people, but I am versus I feel are two different things. The odd man, yes. Big up Jamaica. Yeah. All right. Marv Ricky says, I am a child of God. Yes, I love it. Right? I am and I feel are a couple of different things. I am is identity and ownership. I feel is acknowledgement. So I started to change my language from I am tired to I feel tired, but today is a good day and I'm more than capable of rocking it. Right? And it's important to acknowledge. It's important to acknowledge how you feel, but your feelings don't define you. You might be going through something and you might feel sad, and that's okay. Sometimes we feel sad. Sometimes we need to grieve. Sometimes there's stuff happening in our space that we need to acknowledge, sit in it for a moment, and walk through. But those feelings are not who you are. Now, why is this distinction important, especially at the beginning of the week? I want you to start off your week with power. I want you to start off your week with just this energy. And I want you to start it off. I want to encourage you to start it off by defining, by claiming your identity. Who are you this week? Because who we claim to be, it shows up in our lives, for better or for worse, right? One way or another, who we claim to be shows up in our lives. And if we don't understand who we are, here's what happens. We tend to let others choose who we are. If I don't understand who I am, I tend to let others choose who I am. And quite often, that choice is not the best choice for us. There's a story of a fish and a monkey. It's a parable. You may have heard this before. This fish loved the river, and it really loved just swimming around in the blue waters of this river. And so one day, while swimming closer to the banks of the river, this fish hears a voice and it says, "Hey fish, how's the water?" So the fish sticks his head up above the water and sees a monkey seated on a tree branch. Now, the fish replies and says, "Hey, the water's nice and warm. Thank you." But the monkey, unbeknownst to the fish, the monkey feels jealous of the fish and wants to put it down. And so it says, "Why don't you come out of the water and climb this tree? The view from here is amazing." So this changes how the fish is thinking. The fish feels a little sad and replies, "I don't know how to climb a tree and I can't survive without water." So when the fish says this, the monkey says, "Aha, and begins to make fun of the fish and says, you know what? You are worthless if you can't climb a tree. The fish starts thinking about this and becomes extremely depressed. Yeah, the monkey's right. I can't climb a tree. I'm worthless. So the fish starts to claim this identity of being worthless. The fish starts to claim this identity of being worthless. Now, the fish begins to repeat this to itself and is swimming around feeling worthless, feeling no good. And a seahorse sees the fish and asks what is going on, or why is the fish feeling this way. And when the seahorse hears the story and hears what the monkey has said to the fish, it said, if the monkey thinks you're worthless for not being able to climb the tree, then the monkey is worthless too, because it can't swim or live underwater. So after hearing this, the fish suddenly realized how gifted it was and that it had the ability to survive in a place where the monkey was not able to. What's the moral of this? Einstein has a quote that says, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Yeah. So who are you, and who do you believe that you are? Who are you, and who do you believe that you are? Sorry, Instagram people, I pushed myself out of the frame for just a moment. I hope you heard my voice still. Good to see you, Petit and Seema Mohammed. Good to see you this morning on Instagram. Who are you, and who do you believe that you are? If you're not sure, then you got to find out. You've got to find out who you are. And believe it or not, even if you're not sure currently who you are, you're already becoming. It's a great book by Michelle Obama entitled Becoming. Even if you're not sure who you are, you're already becoming. Sometimes we like to show up in the world, or the world likes to make us think that if we don't make a choice, or if we wait to make a choice, we stay in the same position until we make the choice later or not. But that's not how this works. Imagine a new neighborhood, a new development is built. And you see that new development in all its glory and how it looks as it first becomes put up. And then people live in that neighborhood. And then everybody leaves the neighborhood. And they leave that neighborhood for 20 years. You come back to that neighborhood 20 years later. Is it going to look the same? No, it's not. The elements have run their course. Atrophy, entropy, from an energy perspective, has run its course. You come back later and the neighborhood looks run down. Nothing stays the same. Nothing stays the same. And so you've got to constantly be doing the work to find the real you. Because if you don't do the work, if you don't choose the real you, then somebody else chooses it for you. So how do you know the real you? Well, we're going to walk through a couple of steps this morning. How do you know the real you? Well, step one, do stuff. Do stuff. Find out what you have a natural aptitude for. Get experiences. Find a passion. Do stuff. That's one of the ways to find the real you. Each of us has different gifts. Each of us has different abilities. Each of us is naturally talented at certain things. Each of us is stronger at some things than other people, but we don't know this until we do stuff. You got to try stuff. This doesn't happen by other people just telling you, or you just waiting for somebody to tell you what you're good at. This happens when you do stuff. You've got to do stuff. You've got to figure out what you have a natural aptitude for. And one of the things that I've discovered, one of the tragedies of our world, is sometimes we get a job or we fall into a space and we continue to do that same thing over and over and over again. And we don't try new stuff, and we begin to fall into other people's idea of who we are. We begin to simply accept other people's ideas about who we are, and we claim that as I am. I am this. I am an electrician, and there's nothing wrong with being an electrician. But if you haven't tried anything else and you've allowed everybody else to decide for you that you are an electrician, then you've given up your power, you've given up your identity to someone else. So, in order to really find out who the real you is, you got to do stuff. Find out what you have a natural aptitude for. Get some experiences. Travel. Find a passion. Volunteer. Do stuff. How else do you find out the real you? That's step one. Do stuff. Step two, ask people that you trust. And here's a question that I want you to ask them. I don't want you to ask them, hey, what am I good at? I don't want you to ask them, hey, who am I? I want you to ask them this question. I want you to ask them, what am I doing when you see me as showing up at my best? What am I doing when you see me as showing up at my best? I want you to find someone, some people that you trust and ask them that question. What am I doing when you see me as showing up at my best? I miss my friend Natalie Gregg. I hope you're there, Natalie, and you're kind of posting this in the chat or in the comments, right? Because she does a really good job at that. Natalie does a fantastic job at live tweeting. Is that even a word still? Are we still tweeting? Zeeting? I don't know. Live commenting for events. And so I'm hoping that she's there and she's putting that stuff in the comments. Right? Ask this question to people that you trust. What am I doing when you see me as showing up at my best? Okay, that's step two. Step three, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Quite often, we live life and we don't look at our achievements. We don't look at where we were and where we have come to. We don't look at the accomplishments that we have. And so we're often beating ourselves up because we haven't acknowledged and celebrated what we've done. So look in the mirror, take a look at what you have achieved and where you are now. Go through the exercise of creating a timeline of your life. If you're 35, what are the things that you did at 10? What are the things that you did at 15, 20, 25? Have you graduated from college? Have you started a new career? Have you gotten in a relationship? When did you buy your first vehicle? When did you buy your first house? When did you have your first job? What are the things that you've done that make you who you are? Look in the mirror, take a look at what you've achieved. And then the fourth thing that I want you to do, and this is my last one for today. The fourth thing that I want you to do is test. Test. Challenge yourself. Try some stuff that you have never tried before, or turn up the volume on stuff that you're doing now. Right? One of the biggest reasons that people don't understand who they are is because we have become allergic to failure. We do everything we can in life to avoid failing at something. We do everything we can in life to avoid getting hurt, to avoid feeling pain, to avoid quitting something, to avoid looking bad in front of other people. But the way that you know who you are is by testing. Test. Even if you are good, even if you feel like you're number one in your field, test. Grow, get better. Try something new. Try to get on another level. Move, try more. Turn up the volume. Test. Push yourself. Be courageous. Be bold. Test. And here's the other piece of testing, the part that some people are afraid of. When you try something, or when you attempt something, I want to stay away from the word try. When you attempt something, when you do something, and if you fail at it, there are a few different options. You can do it again using the lessons that you've learned, or you can do something else. And people would have you believe that it's quitting to do something else. Sometimes the purpose of doing something is to simply figure out whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, then banging your head against the wall trying to like it is not a winning proposition. Right? And here's why it's not winning. We're all built differently. There's some stuff that we like and some things that we don't like. That's the reason why some organizations cap out and don't move further, because they're banging their heads against the wall, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't really work. They haven't tested something new. And you've heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Right? Test things. Try new things. Challenge yourself. Get out of your comfort zone. Test. That's how you begin to find the real you. So here's an action step. I like to end our shows. I like to land the plane with action steps. And the action step that I want to share with you this week is this. I want you to think about something that you've always wanted to do, but were scared to do. I want you to think about something that you've always wanted to do, but were scared to do. Put a date on your calendar for when you will do that thing. And it doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be traveling to a new country. It doesn't have to be lifting weights. It doesn't have to be dunking a basketball. It doesn't have to be losing the gut and becoming a bodybuilder. Whatever it is, what's something that you wanted to do but were nervous about doing? Put a date on your calendar for when you will do that thing and take one step towards it today. That's your action step. Find something, think about something that you've always wanted to do but were scared to do. Put a date on your calendar when you will do that thing and then take one step towards it today. Maybe you've always thought about skydiving, but you were scared about doing it. Put a date on your calendar, March 31st, 2024. And then get on Google today and look up the places in your area that offer skydiving. Know the places. Take one step today. Here's how I want to land the plane today. Who you are, your identity, is evolving. It's not static, right? Because even if you choose to stop developing, even if you try to stay where you are, atrophy, which is the aging of muscles and tissue, entropy, which is the dissipation or the change of energy from one state to the other, and the perspectives of other people, all of that takes control, right? So if you're going to be moving, if stuff is going to be happening anyway, if you're going to continue moving and continue being, then you might as well choose who to be and how to be. Choose who you are, but as I said in step 4, always challenge who you are. Choose who you are, but constantly challenge who you are, because if you don't, the rest of the world will. Today is Monday. We want to shift your mindset to a place of growth, but it doesn't just start and stop on Monday. We want to encourage you to take your Monday mindset into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Be curious. Make a choice. Move. Start a movement. Be a movement. Join me next week, Monday at 8 a.m. for the Monday Mindset Movement on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I want to end today with this quote from Miles Monroe, and it says, "Until you find yourself, you'll always be someone else." Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you next time. Peace.